Hi there, welcome back. So a little bit of a different intro today. There was so much to show you that we couldn't get it in one overhead shot, so hence we're doing a bit of a flyby. We may not use everything that's on the screen here in front of you in this video, but it is following with our black and white theme. So black and white, and then one or maybe two a push other colours. So you've seen us use these swan molds before, and I thought, you know, why not? Let's do it again. So we're gonna do this using some different techniques, some embellishments, and so on. So using some UV resin, just pouring it into this rather lovely little heart-shaped silicone mixing jug. Love these little mixing jugs. As usual, everything that we use in today's video, wherever possible, will have a link to where you can purchase it in the description box. So here we go. Lovely. So we've just poured in. We tend to use, I think it was J. Diction UV resin. We're just adding in some of these beautiful little pieces. Now this is a coloured crushed glass and it's silver coloured. I believe these were from Temu. So just popped some of those into that lovely heart-shaped mixing bowl and going to just stir them in to cover them, completely coat them in the UV resin. So just mixing them in now. There we go. So they look like this. There we are. So do a bit of a warning alert. You're going to see me use the UV torch. I do actually stop using the torch and then use a lamp, but there's no camera footage of that, you know, because I did that off camera. So I've decided to place that mixture, a beautiful mixture, yeah, warning UV light coming up, into, there we go, I'm just going to put it in now, into the head section of the mould, this beautiful swan mould. There you go, because you can see it's just falling very nicely there. It's not going to spread very far. It's only going to go where I want it to go. And I'm going to direct it to the parts of this mould, or as far as I want it to go to, in the head part of the mould using that stir stick there. There we are. And as usual, make sure that you take all the appropriate measures and precautions when using resin, including wearing gloves, wearing a respirator mask, working in a well-ventilated area, all the regular stuff. There we are. So UV resin, you don't have to mix. It doesn't come as a hardener and a resin. This particular brand just comes as one ready mixed product, which is great. So there we go. Can you see I've just moved it down so it's almost to the top of where the neck part starts in the mould. And a bit more. Sorry, close-up shot of the glove there. There we are. So yes, so we're starting this new theme. We've moved away from autumn and fall themed colours of the lovely sort of oranges, russet browns, chocolate browns and greens. And we've moved into black and white. Now, predominantly black and white and maybe one or two maximum, but at least one other colour. Now I've done that to the smaller swan mould, and I'm now doing it to the bigger ones. This has got a slightly different shape. On the top of the head it's got, like, what you call it, a little crest or something. But again, all I've done is got some of the UV resin, mixed into it some of that beautiful silver coloured crushed glass, and then just applying it into this part of the head. We did not put it in the beak or the bill. Is it beak? Do swans have a beak or a bill? I don't know. Anyway, we didn't put it into that part. So here we go. Just giving it a quick blast with a UV torch there. And then I did actually harden them both off for about 3 minutes. So 3 lots of 60-second sessions using our much more powerful UV lamp. And I did that off camera. There we go. If you need to do it in a couple of layers, then do that. Don't forget as well, you should really cure them from the underneath side of the mould as well. So again, just doing what I did with the first mould, just spreading it down the neck part slightly, just emulating what I've done in the first swan mould, the smaller one. I definitely think this is more the male swan and the other one the female though. But that's just my opinion. Right. So as soon as you're happy that you've got enough of it in there. You think you've got plenty in there, just finished curing it, and then we'll move on to the next step. So there's a few techniques here in this. Some things I tried didn't work, so I haven't included those in the video because there was just no point. But there we go. We're using the much bigger UV lamp that we've got, and we did, as I said, for both of them for 3 lots of 60 seconds. Now, using some pearlized white mica powder, hence the white, and just brushing it, so using a dry bristled paintbrush, regular brush, and just brushing it over that UV resin, because I was just a bit concerned that maybe it wasn't sparkly silvery enough. I know, I needn't have worried, but I just wanted to be doubly sure. So sorry, it's not very much in camera shot here. Here we go. You can see it's slightly better with this one. It was quite difficult to film this because the moulds are the size that they are, and couldn't zoom in but out enough so that you didn't have to have lots of shots of my hand. So there we are. Hopefully you can see what I've done there. So we've just made sure there's plenty there. So that's almost like, that's a crystal pearlized white coloured mica powder. So hence we've got the white, then we've got silver as my additional colour, and here we go. So now we're just making, so here we are. I'm having a little bit of poetic license. I could have done silver in their bill, in the swan's bill or beaks part there for both, you know, the male and the female, but I actually wanted to go with gold. So sorry, yes, I know I've already broken the rule of having black and white and one other colour. We've got 2 in this case. So just brushed in a little bit of the mica powder in the beak parts of the mould. You've seen me do that lots of times with other moulds and projects. And if you haven't, why not check out our playlist and go and have a look. So applying some silver foil. Now this little section has been sped up because it took me rather a long time to decide, well, first of all, to actually get the size pieces of foil out that I liked, then to try and get them to stick to the mould. It was just, you know, I tried everything, and in the end I think I resorted to using tweezers, and also it used me trying to use the brush, the dry brush that I've got, to try and pick up, so to try and create enough sort of static so that it would then pick up a bit of the silver foil and then put it straight into the mould, because usually it smooths onto the mould quite well. But there you can see what I'm doing there. So I've put some in the mould, and then all I'm doing is rubbing over the surface of it and rubbing it into the mould. I think they call it burnishing. I'm not 100% certain on that. But yeah, so we're just doing that with the silver foil flakes there. As you can see, some of it isn't going where I want it to go, but do you know what? That actually doesn't matter for this piece. So we just continue applying until you feel you have enough in the mould and enough in the places where you want them to be. We are. I will be honest with you, my silver did overpower the mould slightly, the silver and the black, so I haven't got a lot of white appearing in the finished pieces, but they are both beautiful swans, but would look just as nice if you did them all in white with the odd bit of silver detail. Right. So yes, I'm just continuing to add. I'm sorry you can't see it. It is off. This is just me attempting to pick up pieces of the foil. If you've used foil flakes, you'll totally understand what I'm talking about. Unless you've been really lucky and you've had a lot of success just using tweezers to pick them up, you know, that's the situation. But there's what I've done with the silver foil flakes. That's my big jar of silver foil flakes. And then we just continued and we did exactly the same process. Well, more or less the same process. I was a lot less delicate with this one, with the silver foil flakes. I was just picking it out and plopping it in, or plonking, I love that word, into the mould wherever it decided to go, trying to do it so it had the same amount in volume as the other mould, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't, as long as it looks, you know, it looks right. You'll know when it looks right. And as I said, you don't have to do what I'm doing here. This is only as a guide to show you, you know, well, this is what we created, and, you know, you can go off and do your own, whether you try and do exactly what we've done here, or if you decide, no, I'm just going to do white swans with a nice pearlized mica maybe mixed in with the resin, and perhaps just, you know, have silver on the head and then maybe gold on the beak or something like that. That would actually look quite nice, that. But there we go. This would be a lovely silver wedding anniversary present. Silver being the present you give if you've been married for 25 years. There we go. Which is actually how long I've been married this year. 25 years. Right. Not sure about what you get for all the others, mind, but I know one of them's gold, but I've got a feeling that might be 40 years. I'm way off that yet. Anyway, here we go. So here are both the moulds all done. So I decided now I need to have a black element, but I don't want a lot of black. And as you can see already on the background, I did have a little mishap with some black mica powder, but, you know, we'll ignore that. But this is the sort of colour. So that's a piece of the mould that's not going to have resin. And can you see that? Although it says it's silver black. So this is my other colour, silver black. So we've got white represented, we've got black represented, silver, and we've got a tiny bit of gold. So yeah, we'll ignore the gold and we say that I've stuck to my black, white and one other colour theme for this month. It will predominantly be white, black and silver, or white, black and gold, or just white and black. There we go. So I'm just applying, I'm sorry the camera shot's not very good on this, the mica powder to the inside of the mould, tiniest bit that I could. And at this point, to be honest with you, I thought, my gosh, this is going to look like a very dirty feathered swan. But then of course there's a black swan, isn't there? I'm yet to see that film, but who knows, might watch it in sometime in the future. There we go. Yeah, so just brushing in some more, very lightly, small amounts of the mica powder. Actually, a pair of black swans would look gorgeous with silver detail. They would look stunning too. I mean, you know, there's so many different colour combinations that you could use and you could do with this mould. Be beautiful. So there we go. We're just finishing, just putting the mica powder in. Moving on to the front part of the neck, I think next. Yeah, there we are. Just where it joins the main part of the swan's body. Looks beautiful actually. It looks quite dark there, more sort of dark, sort of pewter grey colour than black, but it is called black. So we're just going up the neck slightly. Almost done with this particular section and this particular one. There we go. And as always, don't forget, turn your mould upside down, give it a bit of a tappy wappy, give it a tap to make sure you get rid of any loose bits of mica powder, but there you are, there's a little bit of a close-up as well. And that's what it looks like from the other side. So, here we go. Next stage, there's the both of them together. As I say, I'm sorry about the camera shot, but I couldn't, the zooming in and out on this particular project was, it was quite a trial, but yeah, there we go. So at this point, I'm just deciding what colour resin do I use? Do I go with clear or do I go with white? And actually, I did decide to go clear and add in some of that beautiful glitter I've just shown you. Now this is 1-to-1, this is just clear resin. It doesn't look clear, it looks a little bit cloudy. It's a bit cold over here now in the UK, so the resin is even thicker than it is normally. You can stop that from happening by putting it, your bottles of resin in a warm bowl of water just to start with, and then add it your whatever mixing ratio you're doing or volume. But this is a 1-to-1 mixing ratio, and I've stirred it, mixed it for very slowly for 5 minutes, And then what I'm doing now is using that really dinky, cute little spade spade-shaped spoon. I've added in a good shovelful or spadeful of that beautiful white glitter. Now this is the big tub version of the magic glitter that you may have heard me talk about before in previous videos, where it looks white in the tub, but then when you pour it in or you add it into the resin, it's no longer white. It's a little bit cloudy, but all you can see is those pops of like iridescent white and little bits of silver glitter. So I'm just going to decant some of this off into a smaller silicone pouring jug, just because it's easier for me to control, because this mixing bowl that I've got with the spout is great, but it's not if you've got to do some precision pouring, because it's not rigid sided. It might go everywhere. So there we are. I've poured it in. Look at that. Can you see that there? Hopefully you got a glimpse of that anyway with it, with the beautiful pops of the glitter. So we've moved back in one of the moulds, and here we go. We've got a close up. God, the close up worked. Look at that beautiful gold. Anyway, pouring in to the head section first. There you go. Just nice and slowly. Not decided at this point I wasn't going to fill it right to the top, because I was still quite concerned about it not having it was going to be grey or black rather than white. And what I wanted to do is just give it a little bit of sparkle, and then maybe do a second layer, or third if you include the UV resin section, maybe with some white coloured resin. So here you go. I've just moved the mould slightly, zoomed out a bit as well, just moving it again, just gradually pouring the resin in. And I just added the glitter just in case there was any sections of the mould that weren't already covered in either the mica powder or the foil flake that would show through. So it's just a nice little added element. Plus I do love a bit of glitter, you can never have too much glitter. There we go. So it's all, can you see, it's all just slowly moving, it's finding its own level. Do make sure, obviously, when you're using resin, that you are working on as level a surface as possible, because otherwise when it cures, it'll cure unevenly, and sometimes you might even get some spillage out of the top of the mould, which obviously you don't want, and you don't want an uneven cure either. There we go. So as you can see, I'm just finishing pouring that in. Again, this was quite organic in its design, and well, in my putting an idea into practice, should we just say, I had an image in my head of what I wanted it to look like. It was sort of there in the finished piece. As I said, I would have put a lot more white in. This is just on the other one now, the other mould. Oh, gone a little bit too happy there with the rate at which I was pouring the resin. So there was a bit of overspill there, which, once it's cured, I will have to tidy up. Can you see it then there, moving down the neck? It's just flowing down slightly. Just putting a little bit more in. There we are. We just zoomed out so that you could see me doing the body section. Oh, zoomed in again even. I'm really sorry about this. It's moving around quite a lot with the camera shots. Zooming in and zooming out. Hopefully I'm not making anybody feel, travel sick. There we go. So just making sure that I'm getting it into every part of the mould that it needs to be in. Looking for places where maybe air bubbles could get trapped. Although with these two particular moulds, we don't usually find we have air bubbles. So I'm just topping it up a little bit more. Almost, but not quite to the top. I think it was literally a millimetre, maybe 2 millimetres from the top. Down from the top I did this, and then we did a very, very thin coat of white resin afterwards, once this is cured. This did actually try my patience, as in I really had to be patient, because I had to wait a good 24 hours, not 12, 24 for it to cure. So this is 24 hours later. It had cured completely. And I'm just adding, this is just literally some acrylic white paint. So some white acrylic paint that you can buy, you can purchase from any art shop or online, or over here in the UK, we bought this one from Hobbycraft. But I mean, you can buy it from any of your good art stockists or online. So we're also adding in some more of this crystal white sort of mica powder. And just, obviously I didn't stir it this quickly, but this was just to make sure. I mean, you don't need to watch me stirring mica powder for a minute and a half. Just making sure it was all stirred in, so it's got a bit of a pearlized finish. And then carefully, although I can see overspill already, just filling up the mould up to the top with the lovely white and mica resin, coloured resin. So there we are. So just, and then taking a stir stick and just persuading it down into the mould so it reaches all the sides of the mould as well. There we are. Just doing the tail part now. It was, in some cases, easier for me to use this, to put the stir stick into the jug of the little mixing jug of resin and then actually guide it into the mould that way rather than try and pour it. And that was just literally because there wasn't a lot of space or depth left of where to pour the resin, and I didn't want it pouring all over the surface and then having to do a big clean-up job or a lot of cutting down of over-poured resin once it had cured. So that's the smaller one. I also did exactly the same with the bigger one, and here is the demold. Now, again, this has been sped up. So can you see there? You can probably see all those chunky bits sticking out the sides and things. That is the overpour. Now, I do go in and sort all that out, as you can see there. And I do that just using my trusty little pair of very sharp scissors. And because this was still quite, because this was 12 hours later for this one, this was still soft enough for me to be able to do this. You can go, once it's completely fully cured and it's rock hard, you can go back with a deburring tool if you want to. If you're going to do that, be careful that you don't go over the front side surface and mark your piece, because obviously you don't want to see that. So look at this, look, just quickly showing you, look at that in the head there, in the neck. Can you see what I mean about there wasn't a lot of white? I would have liked there to have been some white. Actually, I would have liked there to have been a lot of white, but there wasn't. But it still looks stunning. So here's the bigger one. There we are. Just taking it out of the mould. It did come away from the mould really easily. Remember, take the mould away from your project, not your project away from the mould, just in case it snaps. You don't want it to snap or break or bend. There's a lot of overpour on this one. A lot. So just going in, snipping it off, and then I do that, I finish that off there. Now, this is the smaller mould. As you can see, I have put in the eye, and all I've done is I've just used a regular black pen and coloured in the eye section there. And what I'm showing you is some really, really strong glue and some lovely little, they're little silver and gold coloured, like half circles. I don't know how else to describe them. There we are. So I just thought it needs a little bit of detail just up by the eye. Now you can see me having a lot of trouble trying to pick up these little embellishments that I want to put near this part of the eye of the swan. So what with sticking my gloves to the mat, sticking my gloves to the tweezers, yeah, and not getting these lovely little pieces to stick where I wanted them to, it was a bit of a faff, if you know what I mean. It was a bit of a chore, basically, but I'm glad I did it, because this little detail just gives it that little something extra. Now, I used gold to tie in with the beak. I did look at what silver would look like with it, but it got a bit lost because there's a lot of silver crushed glass in the head section and some of the neck anyway. But look, there you go. Can you see how I've done that? Still got a bit of clean up to do on the finished pieces regarding overpoured resin, but you know, I will be doing that later on. So I did exactly the same for the larger mould, and as you can see, I've added in a few more of those lovely little half circles on to other sections of the body, like in the tail and where the feather, the main part of the neck, meets the body too. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you've joined us in the live chat. Hi to everybody in the live chat. If you haven't, that's absolutely fine as well. Hope you've enjoyed the video. As I said, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We will see you again very, very soon. A couple of days, I think, Friday, with another, and this, I promise, this is more black and white themed. Bit of abstract maybe. Few more clues perhaps might be released on Instagram. Don't forget, check us out on Instagram. Sometimes we release sneaky peeks of what we're making. But thanks again, everybody. Take care. Goodbye.